I visited the Colorado State Capitol, and in this video, I'm going to give you a personal walkthrough of my trip there while showing you the inside of the Capitol. I visited the Colorado State Capitol during my same trip to the Wyoming State Capitol, so if you haven't checked out that video, you can find it in my linked playlist. Now, the evening before I visited the Colorado State Capitol, I made a pit stop in the college town of Boulder, Colorado. After my Wyoming State Capitol visit in Cheyenne, Wyoming, I drove an hour and a half to Boulder to meet up with one of my best friends of more than 29 years. He flew in from Michigan because he was in town for work. So we went out to dinner in downtown Boulder, and afterwards I stayed the night in his hotel room. Sleeping on the pull-out sofa, I felt like I was 12 years old again. Anyway, the place we ate dinner was a place called Salt. My friend ordered grilled octopus and I was reluctant to try it. I never had any and I thought it would be squishy like squid. And the only way I like squid is when it's fried and battered. But ultimately, and as it turns out, it was pretty good. Have you ever eaten octopus? Let me know in the comments. I also learned that octopus is like 78% protein. I thought it would be more fat than anything. Oh well, you live and you learn. At least now I can say I've eaten octopus and the experience was made even more memorable because I can say that I had it when I was out with my best friend. The next morning in Boulder, Colorado, I woke up, studied my daily Spanish, and afterwards did some work before checking out of the hotel. Once I made it to downtown Denver, I was pretty impressed by the modern look of the city. I'm sure it would have looked even better had I arrived during spring since the trees would have had more color. Shortly after my left turn on Colfax Avenue, I was greeted by the huge golden dome of the Colorado State Capitol building. I thought the golden dome was something unique to Georgia, but now I realize that I have seen it on Georgia, Wyoming, and Colorado up to this point. I didn't see any official Capitol parking, so I ended up parking on a street directly on the side of the Capitol. I wanted to attend an official Colorado State Capitol building tour that began at 1 p.m., but unfortunately I arrived a bit late. I underestimated the amount of time it took to get there from Boulder, and I definitely didn't account for the time it took to park my car. And I spent way too much time messing around with my selfie stick trying to take exterior pictures and video. I admit, I'm still a rookie. I wanted to attend the official tour because it included a walk up the rotunda and then a walk out onto the exterior of the rotunda. Of all my state capitol building visits, this one would have been the first capitol I visited that allowed a walk up the rotunda stairs. Even though I was late, I just figured I would just infiltrate the ongoing tour before they made it to the rotunda. But it was just my bad fortune that because of events going on in the Capitol that day, the tour started in the reverse order. Tours usually start on the first level and make their way up to the top of the building, but not this day. They actually started the tour with the rotunda and then made their way down to the first floor. So I was forced to complete a self-guided tour which doesn't allow access to the rotunda. Oh well. Like Georgia State Capitol, the public entrance was on the side of the building. Once I made it through security, I was immediately overwhelmed. The Colorado State Capitol was the busiest capitol I visited so far. Unlike my previous Capitol building visits, it seemed like the entire Capitol building staff was out walking around. I mean, government workers were actually working. Could you imagine that? I briefly talked to one of the state senators while they were on break, and I also chatted with a young lady who was in the building to work on a sobriety bill she wanted to introduce. But other than that, it seemed like everyone else was in a discussion with someone else. My tour was pretty overwhelming because of the building's sheer size and because of how noisy and active it was. Because of this, I didn't get nearly as much video as I wanted, especially because I try to keep others out of my video if I can help it. So, just like my visit to California, I'm so sorry to disappoint and I hope you understand. I usually do much better to show off the tour. You can watch my previous videos, except California, to attest to this. Also, for it to be a working building, it had horrible lighting. How was I supposed to take cool selfies? So, my pictures didn't even turn out as well as I wanted. Nonetheless, as a quick summary, the Capitol has 4 levels, including the ground level. On the ground level, you can find hearing rooms, a cafeteria, the Legislative Resource Room, and the Legislative Council. The governor and lieutenant governor's offices are on the first floor, along with the Visitor Information Center, where they refused my request for a rotunda walk, even when I pulled the retired veteran card. Also on the first level, you will find an amazing grand staircase under the rotunda. The second level includes the Senate and House chambers, along with the old Supreme Court room. And on the third level, you'll find access to the Senate and House galleries, as well as access to Mr. Brown's attic. Mr. Brown's attic is located between the third level and the dome. Similar to Georgia Capitol has, it's essentially a museum where you can learn more about the Capitol in the state of Colorado. The Capitol's distinguishing features were the sheer amount of brass throughout, its grand staircase, and its lighting fixtures that looked like they came from the street scene of a black and white 60s film. I'd also say that it's the only Capitol I've been to so far that has painting portraits of all the prior presidents on display. The Capitols I've been to all prioritize portraits of governors. Maybe the governor portraits are hanging around somewhere, but I don't remember seeing them. As a last note, Denver is known as the Mile High City. So on the west side exterior stairs of the Capitol's building, there's an inscription with the words 1 mile above sea level on the 13th step, marking an official measure of 5,280 feet above sea level. But that was the end of my tour. After my Capitol visit, I made it back to the hotel and made it to Planet Fitness for my workout. Speaking of which, I noticed that all the Planet Fitness locations I've been to so far has the name of its city on the wall. So during this trip, I decided to now create a mini hunt within my Capitol building hunt, selfies at every Planet Fitness location I visit. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed my Capitol tour, and as always, my cheesy commentary. If you're interested in seeing my next tour or any of my future tours, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you'll see those videos pop up in your feed once they're released. Until then, always remember, go out and go travel. You have everywhere to go see.